Well, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. It's your friend and host, Zora Catone, aka The Other Apprentice here, and today we are going to be taking a look at my updated LEGO Disney Kingdom. Now, as you can probably tell, we've grown quite a bit since the last time we were here, and I should certainly hope so, since the first video was taken 8 years ago. My goodness, so yeah, I should certainly hope we've had some time to grow since then. But, I'll admit, even though the video updates were not as constant as I would have liked them to be, I have been gradually growing this passion project of mine, and I just wanted to give you guys one last update here before we move on to an even bigger expansion, including a brand new location. So, without any further ado, let's get right to it, shall we? Right off the bat, our first improvement is that I have added this lovely little turnstile here that works rather well, and oh look! Who's there to welcome you to the kingdom? It's me. Hi, me. Now, walking right through the gates and down Main Street, USA, you will notice that the previous primitive buildings have been replaced with the LEGO Mini modular sets. Now, I do hope to one day be able to afford the actual full-size versions of these models, but for now, I think these work rather nicely, don't you? And yes, the fire hall does have Walt's window right about there. Speaking of Walt, the partner statue hasn't changed very much. I do still have the Disney Seen It token there, but who knows, I may get around to replacing that with a spare Mickey that I have. And speaking of Mickeys, I am also very happy to say that the official Disney minifigures are calling this place their home. And again, I'm just so very happy that those are a reality, honestly. And on top of that, the LEGO Disney Castle that I have dreamed about is the centerpiece, the final centerpiece for this kingdom. And yes, we have not seen this since the castle building video. And even then, the updates in that one were minuscule compared to what we have now. So, speaking of the castle, we have Cinderella and her Prince Charming ready to welcome guests into Fantasyland. But before we get there, I'm just going to cover this side of the table before we head on in. Right over here, the Pirates Fountain of Youth set has been repurposed into Snow White's Wishing Well. And speaking of Snow White, there she is right there. Gotta stop saying speaking of. We've got some trees and a lovely little swing over here. And this tree is a nod to Pixie Hollow, and there's my makeshift fawn ready to welcome guests into their fairy world. Over here is my Earful Tower, topped with Chernabog as a nod to Phantasmic. I'm hoping to improve upon that fairly soon. And focus! There he is. But we'll see how space provides in the new location. Right down to the Hollywood Studios is the Incredibles, complete with Frozone, Edna, and Syndrome. And just over here in Tomorrowland, we have some new character additions, including Black Panther and Spider-Man, the first two Marvel figures that I own. And we do have a bit of Star Wars presence over here in Tomorrowland. I wasn't originally going to have my own little Galaxy's Edge, but you know what? I've got the space, I've got a lot of new playsets, so yeah, why not? Let's go for it. Let's get the Star Wars out of the way with this lovely Mos Eisley Cantina, complete with scruffy-looking Nerf herders and soon-to-be fried Greedo. Now, we do have Yoda and C-3PO and Rey and Darth Vader and some stormtroopers over here, just to fill out the presents for now. But we also have Stitch and the LGMs, as well as Buzz Lightyear within here as well. Korra and the Tron Legacy, or as I call it, the Tron Legacy set, light cycles, are here as well. At the top of this still hybrid of Spaceship Earth and Space Mountain. I'm still working on that, but the Rocket to Mars is still here, and I have added this nice little nod to Astro Orbiters here. I do wish that I had done a review of the Tron set. I do have the footage somewhere, so maybe I'll put that up eventually, but it may be too little too late for that, but in any case. Let's move on over to this side of Tomorrowland, where we still have the Test Track nod over here. Like I said, this is an amalgamation of parks all over the world, so you're bound to see things from Epcot and Disney World and Disneyland Paris, etc., etc., but I'm still working on that as well. This here is a nod to Disneyland Paris's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction, as well as the old, oops, I'll fix that later, as well as the old 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea submarine voyage in Florida. And there is Captain Nemo himself in there. Oh, this camera is just not my friend today. Anyway, there is that. I will fix all those later. Let's move on to the rest of Fantasyland on this side. On this side of Fantasyland, we have Cinderella's carriage and Anna and Elsa's castle with Kristoff and Sven right there. The ice cream truck is still there in front of Matterhorn bobsleds. Hello, Mr. Yeti. I'm still working on getting Goofy. I do know that there is a train station set with him, but I have not gotten it yet, but I will, so don't worry. And then right next to Matterhorn bobsleds is Elsa's Ice Palace, and there's the Queen herself, belting out her latest power ballad, I Am Sure, next to Wandering Oakens to round out this lovely little frozen corner. And right next to that is what I call the Princess Fantasy Fair section, where each little princess will have their own little section to meet with guests and have a lovely tea party and or dance recital whenever they want. The Mickey and the Beanstalk original idea I had has moved right here. And I don't know, I actually kind of like it better this way, but we'll see where this goes the next time we move. Finally on this side we have a new Christmas train that is doubling for Casey Jr. Circus Trains that is right next to the Dumbo attraction, and unfortunately I'm still using the Hallmark ornament, but until LEGO actually wants to get on that and make a real Dumbo, fingers crossed. I don't know if that'll happen, but I'm still hoping for it. Now over here is my loving tribute to the Storybook Land canal boats in Disneyland Paris, where they pay homage to Return to Oz. It's my favorite diorama section. And yes, while I am using the classic Judy Garland minifigures to represent the characters, I'm just happy to have Wizard of Oz minifigures. I'm just going to say that right now. Very happy, and so that is my tribute to Storybook Land right there. So, yeah, no, it's totally not my excuse just to get Oz into the park at all. No. Alice in Wonderland is still being represented by the Indiana Jones set at this time, but I do have plans to make my own makeshift Wonderland in the hopes that LEGO will eventually make one of their own, and I will give this set back to Indy when Adventureland has a little bit more room. I'm still working on improving this Mad Tea Party set, but I do have an idea to make it just a little bit more whimsical, and hopefully when I do that I can get those teacups back to the Ratatouille board game that I have. But hey, at least real Alice minifigure and Chester Cat, I'm happy. Now all we need is a proper Mad Hatter. LEGO, notes please. I've been making good use of the LEGO Disney Princess sets. While they're not quite to the scale I wish they could be, they're still rather nice. And this particular set is a very nice Be Our Guest restaurant in Beast's Castle, and with all the minifigures there, I don't know, I'm just happy that I don't have to make my own Lumiere. But still, this is rather nice. I only wish it were a tiny bit bigger, but in any case. I do have this Sword in the Stone little setup here, in the hopes that I may one day be able to get my hands on the LEGO Carousel so that I can have that in front of the LEGO King Arthur's Carousel, but we'll see where my budget allows a few years down the line. Another LEGO Disney Princess set that I'm using is Rapunzel's Tower. I wish that they still had this meet and greet in Disneyland itself, but hey, it's a nice meet and greet area for my guests in this kingdom here. Next to Rapunzel's Tower, we have Merida's area, complete with wee bears, archery, and a little dining area. That's rather nice. Just in front of that, we have Clopaz Fantasy Theater, where Clopin and some of the princesses will be reenacting some of their favorite stories. And right next to that is the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, where the fairy godmother and her team will transform any guest into the princess of their choice. Just in the back of Fantasyland, we have It's a Small World. It's not much, but one day I hope I can make it just a little bit bigger. For now, though, it's a small world after all. Just right next to that, we have Toontown. Again, it's a little smaller, but thankfully this is going to be made much bigger by the time we get to the new location. I'm just happy for now that we have Donald, Daisy, Scrooge McDuck, and the nephews, and Chip and Dale to inhabit it. Not much of a Toontown without many tunes now, is it? Right next to Toontown, in Critter Country, we have my homage to the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I am hoping to expand upon this when we get to the new location and actually utilize the old Duplo sets and characters I have, if I can find them at least. But hopefully that'll be a great improvement to this. Speaking of improvements, I really wish that I had something better to represent Splash Mountain with, but for now, I'm afraid this is going to have to do. LEGO needs to make more mountainous sets. They really do, and hopefully they make one in the future that I can make as a better home for Brer Rabbit and his friends. Now, speaking of improvements, one upgrade that I am so thankful to finally have is this LEGO Monster Fighters Haunted House, which is obviously our Haunted Mansion. And let me tell you, I've been through so many Haunted Mansions. I've had the LEGO Harry Potter Grand Hall, I've had the Batman Arkham Asylum, but now, here it is in its quote-unquote final form, the only Haunted Mansion that I ever really hoped to have, and will be the only Haunted Mansion from here on in. Unless, of course, LEGO wants to be nice and actually make a Disney Haunted Mansion, but we'll see. But unfortunately, I cannot open it up and show you all the ghosts inside, but rest assured, they're in there. And, what's more, the official LEGO Jack Skellington and Sally are ready to call this lovely abode their holiday getaway. Now, bridging out the area between Fantasyland and Adventureland is this pirate tavern that I have made, and right in there is Long John Silver, who is making all these lovely delicacies, but who should try and take the place for himself but Gaston? And oh look, yep, he has marked his territory. How nice. When we get to the new area, right next to this tavern will be Tiana's restaurant, and there she is with little Froggy Naveen. So happy they finally have a mini doll of her, by the way, although a minifigure would be nice. And right behind the tavern is the Shadow Man, ready to swindle any innocent guests out of what they already had. Over here in Adventureland, we've got some familiar faces. We've got Captain Jack Sparrow and Fortune Red, who just so happen to be right in front of the Pirates of the Caribbean tribute. Now, yes, I am still using the Mega Blocks set, but hey, at least it's inhabited with even more LEGO characters, so that's always a good thing. The Easter eggs of them dunking the mayor in the well is still there, as well as the dog with the keys and the jail cell. Yes, the proper Blackbeard is there, although it's the On Stranger Tides version. And I have even included the auctioneer and the new version of the Redhead. So yeah, there's Red, looking amazing as ever. And I've moved the attraction jack just near the exit, as he would be by the ride. And yes, I still don't have a Davy Jones, so the projection on the waterfall is still here. But I don't know, I actually almost kind of prefer it this way. Anyway, moving on. On the subject of pirates, we now have this lovely Brick Bounty pirate ship, doubling as the sailing ship Columbia and as the Jolly Roger for Fantasmic. And there's Captain Hook and Peter Pan just in the crow's nest. I was hoping that this would only be the Jolly Roger, but until I can afford and, frankly, accommodate the space for the LEGO Imperial flagship for the actual Columbia, I'm afraid we're going to have to double up for now. But you know what? The fact that I have the ship at all, I'm satisfied and very grateful. Speaking of Peter Pan, we have this skull from the Pirates set, doubling as Skull Rock and the homage to Peter Pan's flight. And there is Tiger Lily just at the top. While we're still in this part of Adventureland, may I direct your attention to this lovely treehouse, which is doubling as Tarzan's treehouse, and this lookout seems to be Tom Sawyer. That's rather bizarre, but not to worry. We do have a proper pirate cove on Tom Sawyer's Island ready for our new location, but for now, this is a rather nice neighborly area, don't you think? And hey, look at that. Wouldn't you know, Indiana Jones is hiding out right there. Don't worry, Indy, you'll get your perilous adventures back. The Jungle Cruise has also had some expansions as well. Not only are we utilizing this vehicle from the Indiana Jones sets, but we also have a few animals in here as well. and hopefully we will be able to afford more and more as time goes by. Moana, Maui, and their animal friends are also calling Adventureland home, as is Te and Te Kao, but mostly Te. The boat is parked cozily along the shoreline right next to Aladdin's Oasis. I am so thankful for this Disney Princess exotic palace set, not only because we needed this kind of building, but also before the official Jasmine minifigure came out, we had no Princess Jasmine aside from the mini doll, so thank goodness we now have Aladdin, Jasmine, Genie, Carpet, and Jafar. And Abu, yes, of course, can't forget Abu. Just over here, the peddler has his stand, and he's hawking any and all kinds of souvenirs, lamps, and just about anything else you could want or not want. Although I think Trader Sam may have him beat as far as deals go there. There he is. There we go. But yes, inside is the lamp and the Sultan, but he's rather busy with royal affairs, so we shan't disturb him just now. This little corner is my nod to the Tiki Room, and unfortunately, instead of parrots, we have owls. I'm still working on getting parrots, but hey, at least we have one owl of every color in the meantime. And that is just in front of the Jolly Holiday Cafe corner with Mary Poppins over next to Main Street. And now, finally, last but not least, Lucky the dinosaur shall lead us into Frontierland. Let me tell you, this was probably the most underrepresented area of the park, and now, well, you can see why we're in need of a new location. But yes, we have relocated the Toy Story 3 train to be the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad representation, and we now have a mountain to go along with it, so yay! Hooray! No longer just relying on this lovely train here. And once we get the actual train station set in here, we can have the actual Disney train go around the park. So, you know, that's it's a win-win-win-win. While I still have yet to get the buildings of Woody's Roundup, the Lone Ranger Town of Colby set is making do rather nicely for the buildings and facade of Frontierland itself. And let me tell you, it took me the longest time to get my hands on these, but thankfully, here they are now, and I couldn't be happier. And if that weren't enough, we also have a canoe and teepee from the Comanche territory, as well as a lovely little water tower that I think really helps round out the entire land. All thanks to the Lone Ranger theme. And that concludes your update for today. I tell you, I cannot wait to get to the new location and show you all the new sets that I've acquired. Heck, even now, this video is totally obsolete. But all of that will have to wait for another time. And until I can get all the other sets that I have my eyes on, and hopefully I can show you everything then. But for now, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am Zora Katone, aka The Other Apprentice, and I'll be seeing you real soon. Bye!